And before going to that, briefly, I'll introduce myself. I am Mohammad Saghir, independent consultant. I have got two master degrees, one in commerce, the other in political science. I'm working in the development sector since 1984. During this period, I have been working with different international organizations on short and long-term assignments for managing development as well as emergency projects. The organization those I served were USAID, United Nations World Food Program, Catholic Relief Services, and UNDP. And then I started working as an independent consultant since 2008. And I'm glad to let you know that for the last 1 year, I'm teaching online classes to the students of AIU. It's great pleasure for me, and it is also a very nice and good learning experience during the past year. And I have rendered different services related to monitoring and evaluation to national and international organizations. I conducted participatory appraisals in the rural areas before designing projects, development projects in those areas. That was one of the requirements, that only the poverty areas to be selected for the projects. And for that purpose, I also contributed for conducting qualitative and quantitative research. And I have been working a lot with the community at the grassroots level. I have also created disaster risk management plan for the government. As you know, I'm in Pakistan, and that plan was approved by the government of Pakistan, and accordingly the resources were provided. And related to disaster risk management, I, along with the team, produced standard operating procedures in order to respond emergency. And I have conducted series of training need assessments before conducting trainings, and developed accordingly the training material, and conducted many trainings. Some of the major trainings were related to business planning, report writing, management functions, financial management, planning skills, project management, of course, disaster risk management, monitoring evaluation, and gender in context of gender analysis, gender equity and equality. And I was able to produce all the reports, may it be evaluation reports, appraisal reports, or training reports. I produced the reports as per the requirements. So today, the class, as you know, it is related to essentials of controlling in management. And the learning objectives of this class are, we are going to discuss major terms of controlling, and we would be able to define a definition of controlling, and we'll be discussing basics and concepts, nature, and what are the objectives of controlling. In fact, controlling is a very essential topic as well as area in terms of management functions, because it leads to achieving the goals. So we are talking about the components, functions, and the steps what are the process related to controlling features, and most importantly, principles, and what are the trends, and what a team can do, what could be contributed by the team in terms of controlling, why it is important, and we will also be discussing some differences between controlling and directing, controlling and accountability, and what are the major skills those are required uh, for controlling. So this is, I mean, a brief uh, introduction as well as the objectives of the objectives of this class. And I'll little bit talk about the class structure. I'll make the presentation as per class objectives, and then during the class, I'll ask questions from you. And please write down your answers in comment in chat. And then we will be having a session on key takeaways. And after the presentation, I will open the floor uh, for questions and answers. So during that, we can have questions and answers, or any concerns related to that, we can discuss in that. I'm also pleased to let you know that my next class on the topic of human resource management would be on August 14th. And then we will be having closing remarks. As far as this presentation is concerned, this will be updated on the AIU website, and you can have access to that. So now we come to the point. As far as the major terms of controlling and management functions are concerned, during this class as well, and you will be in your practical life, you will be uh, learning and developing skills and applying these skills to your professional life related to plans, accomplishment, what are the remedial actions when we talk about controlling. And as I mentioned, we will be talking about compatibility and deviation. What do you mean when we talk about controlling, and comparing at what kind of adjustments are needed when we control, what is discipline, what are the targets and standards, feedback. These are the most common terms. Those are used in management functions as well as in terms of controlling and measure performance. Budgeting is also important part in terms of controlling quality, cost, of course. And what do we mean by adjustments? We'll be talking about that, about the procedures and the resource allocation, performance appraisal, rules, deadlines, and monitor. I mean, these are some of the major terms we are going to discuss and learn about that. So now, since functions of management is very much relevant with this topic, it is controlling. So I thought it should be a good idea to briefly cover management functions and then go into the detail of controlling, so that we have the basic concept of the management functions and how does it relate to controlling. In fact, as far as the management functions are concerned, these are all managerial activities uh, that set goals and take necessary steps to ensure that these goals are achieved. And these are the functions are planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling, the topic we have today. As far as planning is concerned, as you know, it is, I mean, a process and also a thinking process in advance before doing anything. What do we want to do? Why do we want to do? What do we want to accomplish? So for that purpose, we establish goals of the project and allocate the required resources so that we may achieve the goals. In that context, resource allocation is must, and then that should be a realistic plan. And for implementation of that plan, we must have all the required resources. Organizing is to set all resources. Resources are like human resources, financial resources, equipment, and time also. These are resources for implementation of plan. It includes identification of major activities. Organizing includes that, and grouping the activities based on the nature. When we talk about based on the nature, it is like in a project you can have different sections or department, for instance, finance, administration, program, monitoring, evaluation. So these are grouped together based on the nature. And the responsibilities to the staff is assigned, and also they are authorized to do that job, and they are given the required resources. It is also concerned with the development of rules, regulations, and procedures. Because without having any rules or regulation, you cannot have the discipline, or you cannot determine uh, how to implement the plan. So it is very much, while organizing, it is very much necessary that there should be rules and regulation and the procedures within the organization in order to implement any plan. And staffing. Staffing is another function of management. It is the process of recruitment. It starts with recruitment, and before recruitment, you can say that the need is identified, what kind of staff is needed, and then the job description, and the job description is the duties list are jotted down, and the staff is recorded according to that requirement. And once the requirement is done, the staff is assigned the task. Uh, in that in that process, the important thing is that the staff must be available on right time on when it is required. If you don't have all the staff, you are not able to achieve implement the plan or achieve the goals. And for it also reviews staff performance, and managing the other development activities for the employees. The development activities could be related to once orientation is done, sometimes additional training might be required when there are some changes in that case. So staff development in terms of their promotions. So that kind of development activities are needed. Directing, it refers to providing instructions to the staff, how they are going to perform the activities. It is sort of guidance as well as supervision, so that the staff perform their assigned task effectively and efficiently. Again, here the resources, those are available, those must be effectively and efficiently utilized. And it is not one-time process, it is a continuous managerial process, and that involves supervision, motivation, communication. It could be verbal communication, it could be written communication in form of reports, briefs, uh, and the coordination within the staff and the leadership. So now we talk about controlling. It is the process of comparing the actual performance with the planned performance. In fact, before performing any activity by the staff and the manager, they sit together and they agree on a performance plan, what to be performed, and in and decide about the time also by when that task would be completed and what are the standards required to perform that task to ensure the performance was as per plan. So there is a performance plan that helps to measuring the performance whether it was as per plan. And on a frequent basis or as per requirement, it is the performance is reviewed, and if any deviation is found between the task which was planned, the standard which was agreed, then corrective measures are taken so that the goals are achieved. For that purpose, I would say that staff and the manager, staff or the team leader, uh, they, all of them, they work together. It is not only that the staff member is responsible for that. It is all the team, but for each staff member, a staff plan is also prepared as a team as well as an individual. And then that performance reviews is reviewed, and any deviation which is found, the corrective actions are taken so that the desired goals are achieved. Uh, let's discuss some basic and steps of controlling. The function of controlling can be viewed as a five-step process. First of all, establishment of standards, may it be performance, may it be quality of goods, measure performance, compare actual performance with the standard. That lets you know whether there is any deviation or not. If you find any deviation, determine the reasons. You find out the reasons. What are the reasons? Who is responsible for that? And you may find different reasons for deviation. And then it is very much necessary to take corrective actions. Those are needed. Otherwise, the whole exercise will be a vague exercise and there will be no benefit of that once the corrective actions are not taken. Now, we will have for our understanding uh, some sort of understanding what is difference between controlling and accountability. As you know, we have discussed that controlling is the process of measurement of performance against the set standards, measuring deviation and taking corrective actions to achieve goals. Whereas in terms of accountability, it promotes honesty, trust, dependability, healthy workplace environment for achieving the goals. And in that case, in terms of accountability, an individual is responsible and answerable for his or her actions. That means the staff is responsible for, for their action. In case of negative action, if any negative action is found, then the disciplinary action is taken. Difference between controlling and directing. I'm repeating controlling so that we have very much clear understanding about controlling because it is the topic of today. Again, as you know, and we have time and again said that controlling is the process of measurement, the performance against the set standards, measuring deviation and taking corrective actions to achieve goals. Whereas directing involves supervision, motivation, communication, coordination, and leadership. And as far as the leadership is concerned, it is again a separate topic, and the, a leader must have the qualities uh, to lead the team so that the leader and the team jointly achieve the goals. It provides instruction to the staff for achieving the goals. And now I have a question here from you. Is it true or false saying controlling helps in achieving the desired goals? I repeat, controlling helps in achieving the desired goals. Is it true or false? Please write down your answers.
So far, Professor Segi, all the answers that I see on the chat box are A, true. Of course, there
True.
is one choice that is B, false, but most of them indeed go for A, for true.
Okay, let's see.
Mhm.
Here it goes. Ah, great. True. Yes, controlling helps in achieving the desired goals. Right? And now we go on. As far as the objective of controlling are concerned, ensure the overall directions of individuals and groups are consistent with short and long-term plan. Ensure that the objective and accomplishments are consistent with one another throughout an organization. Maintain compliance with organizational rules and policies. You know, without having rules and policies, the team cannot go, you cannot assess whether the team is going in the right direction or wrong direction. There must be a discipline and there must be rules and what to do, how to do, and what are the authorities and what are the responsibilities. Those are set in the rules and policies. It also facilitates research and development department to improve efficiency, facilitate coordination in organization. Coordination, I would say it's very, most important requirement as well in the organization for achieving the goals. Measure the actual performance with the set standards, calculate the actual quantity and quality of the product. Uh, it is when we talk about controlling its performance as well as when you produce any article or any production is made. So the quality is set for that, and efforts are made to avoid wastage of resources. It could be um, funding resources, it could be time, wastage of time, it could be the staff, if it is not rightly placed, and meeting the deadlines of the project. Meeting the deadline is also objective of controlling. Briefly, as far as the concept, it is management control is based on a process of setting objectives, planning, budgeting, implementing, monitoring projects, analyzing results, and taking corrective actions. So like project cycle management, you can understand this concept that is planning, budgeting, implementing, monitoring, evaluation, analyzing, and taking corrective actions and completing the task to achieve the goal. The purpose of management control is to create a greater coherence within the organization and goals. In fact, it comprises four main components. That is strategic planning, performance measurement, reporting and feedback control. These components help in setting strategic goals, assessing performance against targets, communicating progress to stakeholders, and adjusting plan and processes as needed. In fact, when we talk about plan, it is not one time uh, activity. The plan, if it is needed, can be and should be revised according to the requirements. It is not that once a plan is prepared, then the whole life of the project, the same plan will be implemented. No, you learn during the phase of implementation, and as a result of managerial functions, you come to know whether this plan need any amendments, changes, then those should be made in that. Types of controlling. Now you will get some idea related to types. Preventive control. These types of control are the most effective control because they are helpful to control undesirable outcome before they occur. And then detective control, these are to monitor preventive controls. All the preventive controls are monitored at this stage on a regular basis because sometimes undesirable outcome cannot be effectively controlled through preventive controls. So detective controls help to sort it out. And then once it is sorted out, then corrective control comes in. The undesirable outcomes are kept under observation until they are resolved. It is not that once it is identified, then leave it. No, these are kept under observation and actions are taken so that they are resolved. In control, all the predetermined procedures and rules such as internal audit, administrative orders, and procurement procedures, those are uh, involved in the internal control. And now we will discuss some functions of controlling. These are schedule and deadline management, employees training. As I mentioned earlier, that once the employees is recruited, orientation is given, and during the task, the staff may need some additional trainings so that he or she can perform according to the requirement of the organization or for achieving the goals. And performance evaluation, adjustments to the budget, uh, Like the plan is, I mean, could be changed in the same case. The budgetary amendments sometimes are required, but considering the limited budgetary constraints, these are adjustments are made. Staff assignments, resources allocation. The features, the controlling features typically includes monitoring, control, safety data acquisition, communication. In fact, the communication is very much important, a clear communication. And there should be a mechanism for having a regular as well as clear communication. In case of miscommunication, the things may go in the wrong direction. So it should be ensured that there is a doable and effective communication system within the organization, and ensuring that the manufacturing or production process runs efficiently and effectively. Principles of control environment demonstrate commitment, authority, accountability, and responsibility. Risk analysis, assessment of fraud, risk, and identification of changes needed. Control activities, development of control activities, implementation of policies and procedures. Information of communication, it is related to internal or external communication uh, which is needed. Monitoring of activities, conduct monitoring and evaluation, and communicate results. Controlling and changes. In fact, um, the word changes need to be discussed. Once performance standards of the staff is done and the staff is told about the job requirement, but sometimes during the process, the changes are required. So there could be hesitation within the staff in order to accept those changes. So it is the responsibility and the uh, duty of the team leader how he motivates staff, he or she motivates the staff and convince them for making changes. So while controlling, a good control system should be able to change with the needs of the future. The future is always uncertain, as you know, and nothing can be said that with certainty. The controls which are devised for the present may not be adequate in future. Therefore, need to be changed accordingly. Here, there are two things. One is the changes are required, and the other is the staff is motivated to accept these changes. And their performance plans are revised accordingly. It could be revising objectives, updating performance standards, or the performance plans of the staff, enhancing monitoring systems so that all the changes are being implemented as per requirement or not. And if the desired results are achieved and the objectives and the goals are achieved. As far as the importance of controlling is concerned, control management is critical and ongoing process. It is not one-time process. Controlling is not one-time process. It is ongoing process to making sure that the process and the systems are running effectively within organization. A strong control system helps an organization in following ways. Some of them are accomplishing the goals, judging accuracy of standard, making efficient use of resources. Resources are not unlimited. The resources are always limited, and within the allocated resources, the goals are to be achieved. So they must be efficiently utilized, and staff must be motivated to perform their assigned duties or as per the performance plan. And there must be a system in order to ensure that the orders and disciplines is maintained, facilitating coordination in action. And what type of skills staff should have for performing controlling? The staff should know how to define clear goals, and those are measurable, aligning objectives with the organization vision. And each organization has a vision, or and to accomplish that, the objectives are or the objectives should be in line with the vision. And then how do we know about that? We know from monitoring the performance. And what we monitor, we first establish performance standards, and then we implement and monitor and take corrective actions, analyze deviations, why there are deviations, what are the reasons, and what are the root causes of these deviations, so that the root causes are addressed and the project is or could be implemented by the team in right direction. Implementing corrective measures, interconnection with other managerial functions, adopting changes. Without accepting and adopting changes, we cannot overcome the identified problems. Now I have a question again. Is it true or false? Controlling is a function of management. Is it a function of management or not? Controlling. Is it true or false? Please write down your answers.
All the answers coming in at this time are true, Professor Sagir.
Okay, let's see that. Great, Dr. Wilson. All the participants said true. Good.
Yes.
Controlling is a function of management. Yes. In the very beginning, we talked about functions of management, and controlling is one of them. Great. So now, what are the key takeaways? We briefly discussed about management functions. Those included planning, organizing, staffing, and somehow in detail we discussed about controlling. It is monitoring, evaluating performance for corrective measures so that we achieve the goals. We also talked about controlling is one of the management functions. Controlling is the process of comparing actual to planned performance. These are performance plans of the staff. One thing I think we can make it clear that when we talk about staff, it includes everyone. It includes a team leader or team members, all of them. So All of them must perform as per the planned performance plan. Controlling is meant for taking corrective measures, and we learned that there is a difference between controlling and accountability. And we also learned that controlling helps in achieving the desired goals. As I mentioned earlier, I'll come again and see you again in the next class with the topic on human resource management on 14th August. It would be my pleasure again to have Dr. Wilson and all the participants like you. And I'm very much pleased to come again and to see you all. It would be my